The night had fallen quietly over the city, the kind of night where even the restless neon lights seemed to hold their breath. In a small, bustling hospital on the outskirts of town, the air was thick with the usual tension of births and emergencies. Nurses moved briskly, doctors whispered updates, and somewhere in room 312, life was about to take an unimaginable turn. Maria Thompson, a young woman barely 28, gripped the hospital bed rails with all her strength, sweat beading her forehead, heart hammering with a mix of fear and anticipation. She had no idea that the moment she had waited for, the moment she had prayed for, would not just change her life but touch the lives of countless strangers across the world. As the contractions tore through her, Maria's mind flashed back to the months of hope and uncertainty. She had always dreamed of motherhood, but the path had been far from easy. Endless checkups, sleepless nights, and a string of doubts had tested her resilience. Her husband, Daniel, held her hand, whispering soft reassurances, his thumb brushing over hers, grounding her in the storm of pain and anticipation. The medical team moved around them efficiently, their faces a careful blend of professionalism and empathy. Nothing, however, could prepare them for the extraordinary moment that was about to unfold. Finally, with a final push that seemed to echo through the quiet hospital corridor, the cries of a newborn pierced the night. Maria collapsed back onto the bed, tears streaming down her face, a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and overwhelming love washing over her. Daniel's eyes shimmered with tears as he gazed at the tiny, perfect being now resting on Maria's chest. But then the doctors noticed something that made them freeze. Clutched in the newborn's tiny, trembling hands was not a simple blanket or a hospital-issued toy. No, it was something utterly unexpected, something that none of the medical staff could have predicted. The baby's fingers, delicate yet firm, were holding a small, intricately carved wooden heart. Its smooth surface reflected the dim overhead lights, and despite its size, it was undeniably real, not a toy or a mere trinket. Gasps filled the room, and even the seasoned staff exchanged bewildered glances. How is this possible? One nurse whispered, her voice barely audible. Maria, still catching her breath, looked down at her child and felt a warmth in her chest that went beyond mere maternal instinct. There was something almost magical about the way the newborn held the heart, a symbol of life, love, and resilience that seemed far too intentional to be mere coincidence. Daniel, equally stunned, knelt beside Maria, his hand hovering over the infant as if afraid to disrupt the miracle in front of them. Word spread quickly. By morning, the story had reached local news stations. Images of the tiny baby clutching the wooden heart were everywhere, accompanied by headlines that bordered on disbelief. Miracle birth leaves doctors speechless, newborn holds object of mysterious significance, the baby who brought the world to tears. Social media lit up with millions of shares, as people from around the globe marveled at the tiny child who seemed to carry a message of love and hope in its delicate hands. As the days went on, doctors conducted every test imaginable. They wanted to understand how the infant could have acquired the heart, whether it was an unusual delivery phenomenon, or something more extraordinary. Specialists examined the heart itself, discovering that it was not just any wooden carving, it was a replica of a historical artifact, one that had been missing for decades, rumored to carry immense cultural significance. Yet how it had ended up in the newborn's grip remained a mystery. Despite the scientific curiosity, Maria and Daniel focused on the more profound truth of the moment. They named their baby Grace, inspired by the miraculous nature of her arrival. As they held her, they felt an overwhelming urge to share the joy and kindness that seemed to emanate from her very being. Friends and family visited, often leaving with tears in their eyes after seeing the tiny, serene baby and the wooden heart she cradled. Each visitor spoke of a sense of calm and a reminder of what truly mattered in life: compassion, connection, and the courage to act selflessly. Grace's story began to ripple outward. Charities and humanitarian organizations reached out to the Thompsons, inspired by the symbolism of the heart and the way this small life had united a community. People started performing acts of kindness in her honor, feeding the hungry, helping the elderly, offering support to strangers. It was as if the newborn's arrival had unlocked a dormant part of humanity, a gentle nudge reminding the world that love and empathy could heal even the most fractured souls. One evening, a particularly moving event unfolded. A young boy, no older than 10, approached the hospital with a worn-out backpack and tears in his eyes. He had heard Grace's story on the news and wanted to see the baby who had captured the hearts of millions. Maria and Daniel welcomed him warmly, and as he gazed at Grace, he whispered, "I lost my dad last year, I didn't think I'd ever feel hope again. But seeing her, I feel like maybe everything's going to be okay." In that moment, the couple understood that Grace's impact was more than symbolic. She was a living reminder that even in a world riddled with uncertainty, small acts of love and moments of pure kindness could create ripples strong enough to touch lives far beyond what anyone could imagine. The wooden heart, once a mystery, became a beacon, a symbol of resilience, hope, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Months passed, and Grace grew, her presence continuing to inspire. Researchers eventually traced the origin of the wooden heart, confirming that it had been lost for generations in a forgotten workshop. Its reappearance sparked renewed interest in cultural preservation and historical appreciation. Yet, no explanation could account for how a newborn could have acquired it. It remained a mystery, a reminder that some miracles exist simply to remind humanity of the beauty and complexity of life. By her first birthday, Grace had already become a global symbol of hope. Charities held events in her honor, communities organized acts of kindness campaigns, and social media remained abuzz with messages of gratitude and inspiration. But for Maria and Daniel, the true miracle lay not in the accolades or the viral fame. It was in the quiet, intimate moments of everyday life. The way Grace reached for her mother's hand, the peaceful way she slept beside her father, and the gentle, unwavering grip she maintained on the tiny heart that had started it all. The story of Grace and her miraculous birth reminded the world of something often forgotten in the hustle of daily life: the incredible power of selflessness, the profound impact of compassion, and the simple truth that love, pure, unassuming, and unwavering, could astonish even the most skeptical hearts. In the end, it was not the mystery of the wooden heart that mattered most, nor the scientific explanations that would follow. It was the way a single, fragile life had the capacity to awaken humanity to its better self, inspiring millions to act with kindness, courage, and hope. And as the sun set over the city, casting a golden glow over the hospital where it all began, Maria and Daniel watched their daughter sleep, still clutching the heart
that had captured the imagination of the world. In that quiet moment, they understood a truth deeper than any headline or viral story could convey. Grace was not just a miracle. They were witnessing the embodiment of humanity's enduring capacity for love. Even in the darkest corners of life, she had reminded the world that light, no matter how small, could illuminate hearts and change lives.